This is the free motion quilting tutorial for Seashells and Waves. This design is a foundational design. So first I'm going to start out with a wiggly line, and then I'm going to stitch kind of this oval shape. So I'm just going to kind of wiggle around and stitch a little loop every once in a while on my quilting space. This is very, very easy. The biggest thing to keep in mind is just to kind of keep it open, because we're going to go back in and fill this as the second and third step of the quilting process. But really, if you're going to stitch this in your quilt, you just want to make sure that you hit generally kind of a wide area of your quilt. If you're stitching this through the borders of your quilt, you want to just make sure that you reach through the middle of the area. And then the second step is just to simply stitch around, echoing all of those lines that you set as your first foundation. Now whenever you hit those loops, what you're going to do is you're going to go around it, and you can see how I just kind of almost kind of butted up my line right up against that cross where the lines of stitching crossed, and then I made my echo around it. I was intentionally building up my thread right there, right around that circular shape. And what this does is this actually adds a really interesting extra bit of thread texture to the design. By allowing my stitching to build up a little bit, it's going to darken that area, so that as I continue my echoes, that area is going to show off a little bit more, and that's what creates kind of the seashell effect. It's really, really interesting, and it's something I really enjoy playing with. So when I'm coming back around, you can see I'm just going to continue to fill and build up those areas, continuing to travel stitch. You can see here, I just continue to travel stitch and build up that area and darken around those seashell shapes so that they stand out really nicely against the rest of the design. Now you can see that I kind of ended up with this area in the center that kind of blocked itself off. There wasn't enough space to get into and out of it. So I just simply filled around, continuing to echo stitch and build up my thread, and then now I'm going to travel stitch my way out of the space. And that is just fine. That sometimes happens with foundational designs, and it's just something that you have to deal with. And then fill in the extra gaps that are left over. So that's one half of the design. Now the third step is to go on the outside and fill in the outside areas just the exact same way. So I'm going to come up, butt up against that circular shape, echo stitch it, building up that thread just a little bit. These designs are so wonderful and so much fun to play with because they give you such an amazing texture, and they're so easy to stitch. Really, this is just simply travel stitching and echoing, and even if you mess up, this design is very, very forgiving. So it's not like it's going to be something that you have to rip out, or it's extremely noticeable if it's not perfect. In fact, actually, mistakes make this look a little bit more organic and freeform, and that's a good thing. So keeping all that in mind, definitely try and use this in your quilt, either in the borders, over a block, or even over the whole quilt. It's definitely a fun design I hope you play with. And here's what it looks like when you finish Seashells and Waves. For the full listing of video tutorials just like this one, created by Leah Day, check out daystyledesigns.com.